We thank you for your patience. We're going to begin our meeting for today, our regular meeting. Today's Monday, November 25th, 2019. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Where's the flag?
Oh, where's the flag?
What am I pledging allegiance to?
Going up on the screen.
Can we put a picture up of the flag? Could put up a picture. There we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, today's Wednesday, November 25th, 2019. The meeting has been called to order. At this time, we're going to have citizens' comments. We know the protocol in sync with policy. You have 3 minutes. You should state your name and your address. And you have 3 minutes to discuss matters at hand. One of the things, Board Clerk, is there a list? Did we have a sign-in list? Because I know that we were moving to... Okay, so if we want to, the individuals on there, if we want to bring them forward, Board Clerk. Okay, it's fine. Whoever would like to come to the microphone, please feel free to do so. We have 30 minutes for the first part. If it goes over 30 minutes, we can continue the conversation at the end. Thank you.
My name is Constantine. Is it on or what?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Look, there's a lot on my mind. I've read the audit report. I don't want to go through it and all like that. I just want to read one thing which caught my eye. You know, I was against this $11 million fund balance and all like that, which I criticized the finance commissioner and all like that. But I want to read this one thing which really caught my eye. And you got it in front of you. You got the audit report, I hope. Yes. Says the assistant superintendent told us 2016-17 surplus was due to the fact that the district officials budgeted $3.37 million toward the smart bomb. We found that the district budgeted $4.5 million in 2016 to 17, $1 million. But anyway, it goes on. I didn't read it and take up my 3 minutes. In other words, it says here you bonded it, but you didn't send the money into the state to get the grant, to get the money back from the state. So the thing is, you did the technology and everything else, but you didn't get the money. So inadequacy. But you know, I'll say something else in front of this Board of Education. I've been thrown out of these meetings for 4 times. But the thing is, I said it before and I'll say it again. Every 5 years you have a change of administration which doesn't do any good for the student body or anything else. So, look, I'll leave this alone because there's too much on this audit report, and there's a lot of other things on my mind. But the point is, I wish the new superintendent a lot of help. But I always think about Atlanta. Were you down in Atlanta at the time when they had that problem? I mean,
Excuse me, Mr. Gus, please, can you state whatever statement that you would like? Point of order.
But the point is, the administration changes too much here, and it's no good for stability. Here, somebody else.
Thank you, sir. Well, 1 second, please. Dr. Rosser, would you like to, you wanted to make a statement or say anything?
Yeah, I just, I appreciate you coming to voice, your concern around, the budget report that came out, as I indicated to the Poughkeepsie Journal, that any audit is a welcome audit to the school district, particularly under my leadership, because I'm wanting to make sure that any sort of area that needs corrective action that is being brought to my attention, so that I can work with my team along with the Board of Education to address the issues. So moving forward, that we don't have these same sort of issues. As you clearly articulated, that this is a budget report or findings that were of a particular period of time in which neither various members of the board were on the board at the time. So with this information being brought to our attention, we most certainly will be responsive to making sure that these things do not occur moving forward.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am?
My name is Melanie Vetter, and
I'm sorry, can you state your name again, please?
Melanie Vetter. And I was a graduate of Poughkeepsie High School. I went, my entire education through high school was here in Poughkeepsie. And my niece was the
One second, ma'am. Your address, please?
And I hope you're going to give me back my
That's fine. Your address, please, that's a part, I said that at the onset, that's a part of the policy.
Let me start over. Melanie Vetter. I live at 28 Garfield Place. I was born in the city of Poughkeepsie, was educated in public schools here. I graduated from this very building. I went on and moved to major cities around the country, and now I'm back. My niece, Romy Vetter, was the valedictorian of the Poughkeepsie School System's class of 2018, and she went on, thankfully, to study engineering at NYU. We're very proud of her. So I am starting what I have to say today with full commitment and support for public education. I believe in it. My family believes in it. Most people that I associate with believe in public education. What spurred me to come to the meeting this evening was the utility tax. Reading about the utility tax after it was initiated, I began to take a look at what is really going on in the school system. As you know, Dr. Rosser, I met you at the chamber meeting this past week. I'm head of the IDA. We're looking always for what are the reasons why we're not developing economically, and I'm very interested in the institutions of the city. So, unfortunately, what I began to uncover was not very promising, and this may not be new news to you, but it is a problem that's been occurring probably since Spack and Kill left the school system. I was the last class that had Spack and Kill in it. But what I began to discover was the high school graduation rate was 46% in 2018. Now, I read somewhere that it went up to 72. I don't know if that's legitimate or valuable number, if it's real, what made it go that high. And then I said, okay, how are the other cities in our county doing? I took a look at Beacon, 87%, Spack and Kill, 97%. Now, I'm an analytical type. I have an MBA. I like numbers. The first thing I say is, either our kids are not born as smart as the ones in Beacon and Spack and Kill, or we got a problem in our system, because you shouldn't be able to be 5 years old and enter a system in another city and have these differences of graduation rates. So I ended up thinking, with very limited information, that the problem is not with our students. We have brilliant students who have the creativity and the intellectual capacity to be anything they want to be, just as any other person has. We're failing them. And this is very disturbing to me because I believe our children deserve to have the best possible education they possibly can have. And as someone who grew up on the North Side and was raised in a blue-collar family, it was the education that started here that enabled me to go out and become a very successful person in the outside world. And I don't think our children should be robbed of that. So that was really rather concerning. Looking a little further, there's an extremely low level of students who go on to a second or fourth year college. There are very few that are being trained in BOCES. When I was here, we had a training session with BOCES. There were 30 people who went through BOCES in 2018. Looking further, the school district is, out of 58 schools in upstate New York, we are the worst. Number one. Now, I was a PHS cheerleader. Number one was a good thing when you're on a sports team, but when you're ranked as the worst school in the entire upstate New York, there's a problem here. Now, you all may know about that problem, but again, going back to my ability to do diagnoses, the first thing you have to do is acknowledge you have a problem, begin to look deeper and figure out where the problem is. There's a constant level of unsafe fighting and violence within the school. We've seen the video that was just out last week. There's a high level of absenteeism and turnover. I heard there was a teacher absentee walkout because of the safety conditions of the school. All of these things are concerning. Now, let me get to the tax, because the tax is what drove me to get some understanding of what's going on. And I've left this 2-page with all of you, and I'm not reporting on all of the things I learned. So at your leisure, I would really appreciate it if you would take a look. My concern about the tax is I believe that it was a way around the tax cap. And so you need more money to cover a lot of financial mismanagement. And that mismanagement is in your packet. You'll see it. I won't waste the people's time here tonight. Now, what I would like to say to you is this is a very poor city.
has an average median income of $40,000 a year, $26,000 income on a per capita basis.
Ms. Vedder, I'm going to ask you to please wrap it up.
I will wrap it up. Their poverty rate is 22%. When you add in the working poor, it goes up to 32%. 95% of the students get a free lunch, and all of the high school students get a bag to go to have food. Now, I don't see how we can, as in good conscience, as members of a community that's larger than the school board, put a regressive tax on the poorest people among us who are having a hard time feeding their children. They can't buy them lunch, they're being sent early dinner home, and yet we're taxing their electric bill, we're taxing their gas bill, we're taxing their cell phones, their cable bill, right when the winters come in. This is my initial reason for coming here. And I
Ms.
feel
Vedder, I'm
that
going to
should-
ask you to
I feel
please
that should
wrap it up.
And Dr. Watson, I would really like to feel that although you're managing the clock, that you're hearing me.
I am
Because
absolutely hearing you.
I don't know how to communicate with the board so that I can be heard.
Ma'am-
I have many, many ways of communicating.
Ma'am, this is, excuse me, ma'am,
let me
this
say-
is policy,
right.
and you can meet, and you can speak with the, you can meet with the board, you can meet with the superintendent. However, I started with the premise, this is not a back and forth conversation in sync with
We
policy.
couldn't even get from the office
Okay.
when this meeting was.
Okay.
Norman Smith-
Excuse me, Ms. Vedder, Ms. Vedder, point of order.
To go elsewhere
Point
when I
of
can't
order.
get answers when I go elsewhere, so I'm coming to you. Dr. Watson, you have something?
Point of order.
Ma'am, please just, I understand that you're frustrated. There are many of us who are frustrated with the outcomes that we've been yielding as a school district. Even with me not being here previous to August 5th, I'm owning what is currently our school district. So it's very important that as we're talking, that we're not exchanging, going back and forth in an adversarial type of way, because at the end of the day, we as adults have to understand that we're here for the children. Be it that we may not agree upon approach all the time, but we have to learn and we have to find ways in which we can work together. So much of what you stated in the beginning of your presentation related to the state, or as I like to call it, the current state of our school district, very much aware of it. In fact, I've been speaking about it at the numerous community fireside chats that I've been providing opportunity for the community to hear from me in terms of where our challenges are, where we need to go as a school district, and I would encourage you as well as others to participate in the next fireside chat, which will be December 2nd in the New Hope Community Center from 5 to 7 o'clock. I encourage you to be there because at that point in time, it will provide you with a greater perspective of what we currently know as a school district, but also to provide opportunity for community to share with us what they would like to see out of our community, out of our public school system. So I encourage you to be a part of that. We also have online surveys for community members such as yourself and others to be able to take along with parents who will have students in the district in the future, students, our teachers and our staff, as well as former students of the Poughkeepsie City School District. Because for me, as the new superintendent, what's most important is not necessarily to look at what happened in the past and dwell on it, to have an understanding of what took place back in the past so that we don't return back to it, but more importantly, to be focused on where we can go and where we need to be as a school district on behalf of the youngsters that we call our children.
One point I would like to just make in general, this is for anyone coming, this is a board meeting. And as such, the citizens' comment piece said that's by open meetings, well, that is something that we can allow. We have young people sitting here. One of the things that we will not allow is disrespect. We have to respect one another. We have to inspect what we expect. We have young people that are also sitting here. And so at the onset of the meeting, I specifically said that you have 3 minutes to speak, and it's not a back and forth conversation. So while we all have our sentiments and our feelings, I've been on the board for 5 years. I'm a graduate of the Poughkeepsie City School District. We are public servants. We're not compensated for being here, and we take great pride in what we do as board members for this district. And so we are the forerunners. And while I respect each and every voice that comes to that microphone, and And we want, this board ran on the platform of transparency, so we want individuals to have information. And if it's not, if the clarity cannot 100% be given here at this microphone, I have an email. You can feel free to reach out to me. I meet with individuals within the community. Feel free to sit down and meet with me. However, in this session and in this meeting, we have to have respect for each other. Thank you so much.
And if I can just state this too, please, anyone who has questions about the school district, what we currently understand as a school board, or more importantly, as a superintendent, please make sure that you come to the fireside chat, because I share and I'm very transparent with what my findings have yielded thus far. And I articulate the challenges that we've had as a school district and that we currently face as a school district as it relates to our financial status, our poor graduation rates, our need to make sure that our teachers are more supported, a need to make sure that community is involved in the direction of our school district. Those are just a few things that I speak about in my presentation. So I encourage those of you who are extremely interested in learning more about the school district, and not only learning more about the school district, but to get a good sense of the direction in which we're going into, to be a part of that meeting so that you can then learn and be highly informed, particularly as you step up to the microphone, that you're stepping to the microphone with factual information that can be supported by what you learn through the fireside chats. So I do encourage everyone who is extremely interested in learning more about the district and learning more about the direction of the district to most certainly make yourself available to the fireside chats.
I appreciate your outreach.
Your name, sir, and your address?
I'll give it to you in a second. But you please be respectful, okay?
Sir, we're not going to have this.
I
No.
appreciate.
We have a
Sir.
call you have to follow.
We have a policy.
Your name and your address, sir?
Wait 1 second. My name is Norman Smith.
Thank you, sir.
16 Garfield Place in Poughkeepsie. Before I called Poughkeepsie Journal and raised this issue with them, very few people even knew about this tax. This is not how you reach out to the community, by sliding some tax in under the radar, because that's what happened here. Nobody knows about it. And like she said, it affects the people who are the most vulnerable among us. This board and this school district, this has gone on for years and years and years, has no accountability. And we've had enough of it. So if you're going to bring change, we will support you. We'll be behind you. I'll cover your fireside chats and so on and so forth. But I do expect to be respected when I'm talking to you.
Dr. Ross, would you like to respond to that, the process regarding the utility tax?
Yeah, so the public hearing and the utility tax, it had been advertised throughout the community, through the Poughkeepsie Journal, since, if I'm not mistaken, and Mr. Sloika, please correct me if I'm wrong, since May of 2019. You know, it had been advertised more than we were legally obligated to advertise it. The board made a conscientious decision to make sure that there were multiple opportunities for the community to be able to come to our meetings to articulate their concern about the utility tax. On the day in which we had our public hearing, which was not the only opportunity that was provided, you know, we did have members of the community that were here to articulate their concern over the utility tax. We also, as a school district, have posted a frequently asked question document for the community to consume to speak about the community tax. Now, if you're the gentleman that I remember reading something in the paper about some of your concerns was that maybe we should have taken the responsibility of sending out notice to every household in the community about what we were intending to do, that's food for thought that we will take into consideration the next time that we choose to move forward with something. But that was not the direction that we took. And as I mentioned, while looking back at what took place in the past is important, to make sure that we don't do or we don't engage in that sort of activity again. For me, that was a mental note that simply said that if we choose to move in this direction with something else, then maybe we need to think about other alternative ways of getting the information out. But I will share with you, when it came to our legal mandate of being able to, or having the responsibility of notifying the community, this board here extended itself beyond the legal mandate.
Are there further citizens' comments?
And let me just say this too. I appreciate your willingness to support what is going to be happening or what's currently happening in the district. As I stated before, there's a lot of frustration, and when I go to these fireside chats or when I see people in the grocery store, if I'm out and about with my wife and people come up to me and start screaming and yelling, I don't take it personal. I can't take it personal, because at the end of the day, I understand that there's a lot of frustration. I'm frustrated as a new person coming on board and understanding that there's been years in which the district has not done everything it could have done to meet the needs of the children. However, I'm not looking at that as a scapegoat that simply says, well, I'm not going to do anything myself. I'm here to work with the community to make a difference in the lives of our children. I can't do this work by myself, which is why I'm very much engaging and encouraging the community to walk side by side with us as we address the evolving needs, be it academic, be it social emotional, or be it wellness needs of our children. We need to do this together. It can't be about you board members, you superintendent, we community. We all have to be one when it comes to meeting the needs of our children. And one of the things that I saw that was taking place prior to coming on board, and I even see elements of it existing today, it's about you against you, or us against them, or them against us. And it can't be that way, particularly as we talk about our children. Our children, we have an obligation as adults. I have an obligation as an educator to make sure that I'm working to bring community and school together to meet the evolving needs of our children. If we're always going to be in these board meetings fighting against one another, people using this as an opportunity to tell us off, tell us what we did wrong, we're not going to be able to move the needle in meeting the needs of all these children to our left who are looking upon us as adults to meet their needs. So it's very important that once we acknowledge that there's frustration from this end of the table to that end of the table, from that end of the auditorium to this end of the auditorium, let's all agree on that. But let's also agree that there is a need for us to change the outcome of our students by working together, which is what I'm willing to do as a superintendent. So I just wanted to make that to be known because, although I stated it at other board meetings and people have gotten the message, people have come up to me and said, thank you very much for leading in the way that you do. I know that we will get new individuals to the board meetings, such as some of the individuals in the crowd today or tonight. So it's very important for me to reiterate what we're here to do moving forward, and not necessarily to look back at all the craziness, at all the dysfunctionality that existed in the past. Because I can share with you right now, that's not about who I am. And I need the community. I'm imploring the community to step up, to work with us, while I, as superintendent, hold the district accountable. But I can't hold the district accountable and expect for everything to change, because it goes beyond just holding individuals in the district accountable. It goes to making sure that as an educational institution, that individuals have an understanding that we only have students for a finite period of the school day, or the day in the general. And when you look at the amount of minutes that a student is in school compared to the amount of minutes that a student is in the community, it's very important to understand that the school district can't do this work by itself, particularly when it comes to a high impoverished district where students have multiple and evolving needs, and their parents do too. Those of us who have the wherewithal, who have the ability, who have the commitment, who have the desire, to be change agents for our children, we need to step up, we need to lock arms, we need to forge forward. Because at the end of the day, the students who are to my left over there, and the 4,500 plus that enroll in our district each year, they need to understand that we as adults have their back. Not only during these board meetings, not only during the work hours that we call, or the instructional hours that we call school, but they need to know we have their back from the time in which they're born and are brought into our community to the time that they have an opportunity to transition into a job of their choice or a post-secondary collegiate institution of their choice. They need to know that the adults were here and have always been here to meet their needs. So as I mentioned, I implore everyone who hasn't had an opportunity to sort of hear my sort of presentation of where we're at as a school district and some of the steps that we're taking to turn the school district around, to most certainly attend the next fireside chat meeting, which is December 2nd from 5 to 7 at New Hope Community Center.
Thank you, sir. Are there further citizens' comments?
Hello?
Good evening. Your name and your address, please?
My name is Sacred Pcsd, and I live
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Sacred Pcsd, and I live at 29 Harrison. I'm a junior right here at the school, and I just feel like when I walk into the school, I feel like I have like a badge number. Like I feel like if I walk into the school, I don't know if I can step in the hallway without me being pulled back in because it's a lockdown. I just feel like if it's not really safe. Like there's not. I step in the hallway, I see one of my teachers because they have to sit out and watch us because there's not enough security. And then you have teachers that don't push you far enough. You have teachers that tell you can't do it, or they won't be surprised to see you in summer school. There's no way that students can move on if there's people telling them they can't or they're not able to. And then there's also teachers that actually push you and want you to move farther. I don't know if maybe it's just like teachers get fed up with what happens. Yeah, we're not your average grade school, but we can make ourselves better. We might be the worst, but it doesn't make sense. I don't know. It's just a lot that doesn't add up here. Can I say something?
Thank you so very much. We're going to have Trustee Martinez-Leffert wants to say something, Dr. Ross, or any other board members, if you would like to respond. Thank you so very much for coming to the microphone and sharing that. Just so you're aware, I got a couple of calls from other students who already began to let me know that some of the young people were going to be coming. So we want to commend you on being an upstander and for coming to the microphone, sharing your feelings. Your feelings matter to us. Trustee Martinez-Leffert?
So I just want you to think about this. You're not average. You're better than average. So when you feel like people are telling you, if it's you or other classmates that you are seeing that are being told that they can't achieve certain things, you remind them, you're not average or below average. You're better than that. Thank you for coming.
So I want to say that, I applaud your courageousness of stepping to the microphone and sort of sharing what your experience is as a student. One of the things that we've been challenged with here at the high school is a number of things that extend from students not valuing the quality education our teachers are providing, to our teachers becoming frustrated that there's a small group of students who aren't focused on what they truly need to be focused on, which is receiving a good education, to some of the challenges that we're having with making sure that students have great opportunity and access to programming that you would feel to be beneficial to your high school experience. So these are some of the things that we're working on. I also implore you, and we have your board representative over there who happens to be a senior, I would implore you to have conversations with her around ways in which students can come together to encourage some of your peers who aren't taking full advantage of the opportunity. Myself, the team who is sitting to your left, we're very much supportive on changing what is currently our high school and the conditions in which students have had to sort of exist under, at least for this year. We know that there's challenges, and we know that much of what the students are presenting are things that are originating in the community, and because they go unresolved, and students who have issues with one another in the community, when they see each other here in the hallways, some of those things continue, unfortunately. And what we try to implore amongst our students is that, number one, when it comes to resolving conflict is inevitable. Everyone finds themselves in conflict, such as, what you've seen demonstrated a few moments ago. However, it doesn't always need to end with people sort of hating one another, attempting to hurt one another. It's really a matter of developing an understanding that it's okay to disagree, but always note that as an individual, you're here for your education. And I hope that all students have an understanding that if there's static that's coming from over there, if someone is mean mugging somebody over here, ignore all that, because at the end of the day, that's not going to assist you with getting the type of grades you need in order to fulfill whatever dream you may have for yourself in the future. So once again, I applaud you. I applaud the young lady who is standing to your left, who's providing you with support. I thank you very much for offering and sharing to the Board of Education and myself your perception. I would also implore you to have conversations with the board liaison, as well as your building principal, your school counselors, and there are many teachers that I know of, because when I'm here in the school, they're encouraging students, they're trying to get students to do what is necessary, they're trying to make sure that all students have what they need in order to walk across the stage when it's time for graduation, and not only walk across the stage, but then to have viable options where you will then find success in a career of your choice, or you will find success at a college of your choice. So I once again thank you, for coming to the microphone and sort of sharing with us, your concerns. And I can assure you that they will definitely be looked into. I know that Ms. Rabinowitz, who is somewhere around here, she's probably behind you, will most certainly be documenting things, and we'll be sharing it with your building principal first thing tomorrow morning, okay?
Ms. Avery, so what's your name, dear? What is it? I can't hear you, sweetheart. Hazia? Kazia. Okay, great. So, I'm a pioneer. I'm a very proud pioneer. So once a pioneer, once a pioneer, once a pioneer, always a pioneer. We stick together. So over here, so Cassidy, would you please stand? She's a board liaison, and we just met with her. Yeah, let's give her a hand. And so she's going to be another point person that any issues and things that you can speak to, because she also reports to us. So definitely get connected with her. You can always email us regarding issues. We have your back 100%. Change is on the horizon, and we are here for you. And the mantra that the superintendent came in stating, and I don't know if you guys are aware of it, that we are champions. Have you heard this? We are champions for children. Have you heard that being said? Well, that's what it is. We are champions for children. These 5 board members that are sitting here, giving of our time, energy, our knowledge, our skills, our aptitude, are champions for you. We are committed 100% to change this thing around so that you can have the same quality education that I received, and my 7 brothers and sisters who also came through the school district, and my nieces and nephews, of which one was a valedictorian, received in this school district. You deserve to have a high-quality education. And you need to, if anyone tells you contrary, that you may end up in summer school, you tell them that that's not who you are and that's not what you're about, that you are somebody. And you can tell them that Felicia said so. Is that all right? You always stand up for yourselves. Young people, repeat after me. I need all the young people. Repeat after me. I am the best of the best. I know am somebody. All right, thank you so much, dear. Other citizens' comments?
Hello.
Hi, I'm April Smith, 6 Oak Street. I'm here because I have a few concerns. My son attends the Pcsd Middle School, and my concern is no teachers. And that's the issue for me. Because last year he struggled with his grades and he had to attend summer school. This year he is back in school, he's doing, better with his grades, and then his report card comes. I'm very involved in the school and with my child. His report card comes and he's doing great, 90s, 87s, and then there's a 50 in health where there isn't a teacher there to teach him the subject, and he's being graded on something that he's not even learning. He's watching videos and just sitting in a class not learning anything. And I'm here to ask the question on why is he being graded on, not just him, all of the children. There are classes with no teachers, and you're grading these kids for sitting in class watching videos. That it doesn't make any sense to me. And then it affects him because now he's discouraged, like, I just worked so hard and now I have a failing grade and I can't move on to, he's an athlete. And I told him already, without you doing academically well, you're not going to be able to move forward. And he's a good kid, he's a good student. Like I said, he's had some bumps in the road, but now he progressed and he's doing much better. And to see that happen to him, that's, upsetting to me. And I'm upset because for other children too, not just my son. Mm-hmm. To sit in a class with no teacher. And every time I'm talking to someone, I get switched to, oh, you need to speak with this person or speak with that person. It's always someone else and nobody has the answers to anything. I go to the principal is like, he tells me one thing and then he's missing in action. I can't get him, he's not around, nobody knows when he's coming back. It's just a runaround. I have no answers to anything. And it's not fair to him, to us, to the other students, to no one. And you have classes with no teachers. Right, that's what he's saying. It wasn't just our son. It was more kids.
Right.
So I'm here for him, but I'm here for the other kids too. And for the other parents that didn't come to speak up. Because it's unfair.
Right.
What do you tell your child that's worked so hard and now, he's not able to move forward to continue on with his sports because that's his thing. He loves his sports, but now I cannot play because they're stating that he's failing a class. I just need answers of no teachers.
Thank you
So-
so very much, Ms. Smith.
So let
Dr.
me-
Rosser?
This was brought to my attention.
And then Trustee Long.
This was brought to my attention earlier today. So my team is already looking into it. And if you can leave your name and your contact information with Ms. Torres, I will make sure that someone contacts you to provide you with an explanation as to why your son received the grade that he did in that health class. But it was just brought to my attention. You're not the first parent that brought this to, you're the first parent tonight that brought it to my attention, but it was brought to my attention by a number of different folks, earlier today. And I tasked the team to make sure that they begin looking into this so that we can then provide a rational response to all the parents who have been impacted by this. I don't know if it was an issue with our student information system and the calculation of the grades. We're looking into the matter right now.
This isn't interactive, ma'am, Ms. Smith, so thank you so much, though. Trustee Long,
If
did
you
you
can
want to
leave your
share
name-
something? Okay. Dr. Rosser, yes, if you would please leave your information with our board clerk, Torres, and your contact information, and Dr. Rosser will ensure that someone definitely follows up with you. And we apologize just in advance. We don't know the nuances, but from a board perspective, if an injustice has been done, one, we'll get to the root of it. And then two, we apologize that you've had to spend your time to come specific to this matter because in all honesty, it should have been able to be dealt with at the building level. It's not a board issue per se. and it should have been able to be dealt with at a building level. So unfortunately, we thank you, though, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come to present this to us. But if you would please just give your information to Board Clerk Torres, that would be great. And thank the other gentleman that was standing. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Additional citizens' comments? Ms. Norwood?
Moya Norwood, 129 Gardner Street. So my son just made the freshman basketball team, right? Congratulations. But the lighting is an issue. Like, I know that we're in the walking district, but if you go out to the parking lots, even coming from EOC, from a Pcsd, it's pitch black. If you go to this parking lot, you might have a little lighting, but all the parking lots are dark. And I'm also wondering, maybe Mr. Hodge can answer this, the schedule for practice. I know it gets dark earlier, right? But if these younger kids can get to practice earlier, maybe they can have a little bit of lighting for other people in the community when they go home, so that they'll be okay walking home, you know, safety. Also, I know everybody's aware of the situations that's going on with the safety of the students and the faculty and staff in the high school per se, right? Middle school too. But can we also look at how many security guards we have in the schools? Because it's not enough. You know, and you have the teachers sitting in the lobby here, making sure the students are safe as many as we can. But if the teachers are not in the lobby here, who's teaching my children? Who's accepting my kids in the classroom? Because if they're here, the kids are going to act up in the classroom. So I have an issue with that. Maybe we can look at a recruitment and retention problem, like I spoke about this months ago, you know, even last year about the security. But honestly, as a parent, sending my son to school every day, I'm like, call me, text me if you need me, I'll be there. But my issue is this: when we have a lockdown, parents were still allowed to come in, but teachers, the faculty, and the staff wasn't allowed. And I was told that firsthand when I came to parent-teacher conference. So it's like it's a disconnect. If there's a lockdown, do we lock down everybody out of the building, or are we only letting parents come in? And then when some parents come in, then it's an issue, because now these parents are trying to protect their children, save their kids, save kids, fighting kids. And I'm that parent, somebody call me about my child, it's going to be an issue, and I don't want that to be. So if we had enough security in here to protect our children, if we're a champion for children, which we all know, like we protect all these babies, who's going to protect our kids when there's only 2 security guards here, 1 over at the middle school? That's just numbers I'm throwing out. Who's here to help these students? My son don't feel protected, but my son also don't get any BS. You understand what I'm saying? Like my son, no, Mom, I come to school, I do my work, and I go home. But I can't say that for everybody's child. You understand what I'm saying? Especially the girls that's fighting. Kids might be in the hallway, they might get hit, and that's an issue, because you drop your kid off and like, Lord, please don't let this boy call me. Please don't let there be a lockdown, but who's protecting our children? That's my concern.
Okay.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Norwood.
So let me share a couple things real quick. So one of the things that I had encouraged staff to do, and they followed up on this, is to work with the company who's doing an assessment, a security and safety assessment of our high school, our middle school, as well as our PACE location, so that we can have, from professionals and experts, we can have documents and information that will help us to improve, you know, our safety and security at our school. Speaking about the lockdown / hold in place, there was a lot of confusion on that day, you know, where some people were operating under a hold in place, some people were operating under a lockdown, and I will share with you that it's important that we as a team get that right, because it creates too much confusion, and our teachers don't know what to do based upon what's been articulated to them versus our students versus parents versus the outside public. So it's important that we get that down packed, and I know that Mr. Hodge and the team, after that incident occurred, they met with the administration, they put certain protocols in place, and they're working on making sure that when it comes to whatever it's called, hopefully we won't have any of those situations moving forward, but whenever something like that has to be called, that we know who's on first, we know who's on second, we know who's on third, and we also know who's calling the shots in that situation as well. Because there was some confusion around, is it the police officer's responsibility to do A, B, and C, or is it the school administration's responsibility to do A, B, and C? And I will share with you that while we're talking about the situation that took place in Poughkeepsie, I will share with you, when I met with the surrounding superintendents this past Friday, they had concerns, and we met with, law enforcement, and we all discussed, a need to make sure that we all get it right, because what happened north of us in the school district in which I won't name, where there was an active shooter outside the school, there was a lot of confusion between what the police were saying, what the school was saying, and as a result, we all, as superintendents, came together to talk about the need to make sure that we're getting this right to protect the needs of our children.
And just to piggyback off of what Dr. Rosser has said, from an emergency management perspective, it is critical that not only administrators but students, that they practice drills, that they know exactly the difference between a lockdown and a shelter in place, that these things are put in place. And I know that Mr. Hodge, he did a presentation at the onset of school speaking of these various emergency management techniques. However, we have to continue to practice them, so we are all on one accord when it comes to language. We know exactly what should be taking place. The emergency responders that are external to the building will know exactly what should be taking place, and that comes only by practice and by doing the drills. And as Dr. Rosser said, this is not just an issue here. There's 740-something school districts throughout New York State, and I can tell you firsthand that that's an issue that you have to go over and over, and repetition is the mother of learning, and it has to get to the point where it's an automatic pilot. So we thank you so very much, Ms. Norwood, for coming to the microphone. Thank you for being a part of this solution and being a part of the PTA and being an active voice and an upstander as a parent, not just for your son, but for the students throughout this district. Other citizens' comments? And how we're on time, okay.
Hi, here is Lamel at 12 Garfield.
I'm sorry, your name again?
Here is Lamel. I live at 12 Garfield Place. And I am a public servant. I work in public education, and I'm wondering what your plan is for underperforming faculty and teachers.
Okay. As we indicated, this is not a back and forth. This is not like a conversation back and forth. What I encourage you to do is to come to the fireside chats, where I provide that opportunity for conversations to happen back and forth and present that question. But I will share with you that when it comes to accountability, accountability will be seen on all levels, including myself. If I'm underperforming as a superintendent, my expectation is that these 5 board members deal with it accordingly, even if it means terminating me for underperforming. I'm willing to accept that as a part of my accountability. But as I mentioned earlier, when it comes to, the dialogue back and forth, please come to the fireside chats, because fireside chats provide an opportunity for me to be able to have a dialogue with individuals, and the board meetings, particularly community comments. They're simply that, they're comments, they're not.
Unfortunately, I work and I'm not...
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry. It's not a back and forth conversation, Ms. Lamel. I apologize. I'm sorry, Ms. Lamel. This is not a back and forth conversation.
I can just state this. So the one thing about the fireside chats, we do have a fireside chat from 5 to 7. I have held fireside chats on the weekend as well. So that will continue. So the fireside chats, after this December 2nd fireside chats, there will be fireside chats that happen quarterly at different times to provide different community members who may be challenged with being able to attend something during the school day or the school evening. It will provide them with an opportunity to also have these conversations with me on the weekends as well.
Additionally, I would like to encourage every single individual that's here that's not signed up for the superintendent's briefs to leave your email address, because that's another mechanism where information comes forward, and it's a plethora of information when it comes to what's going on in this district, as well as on the website. Dr. Rosser, is there a place where we have the survey that's still up, correct? That individuals can weigh in and post questions, and
well, nothing for them to post questions, but there is, the survey most certainly provides them with the community at large. And when I say the community at large, that would be community members, whether or not you have a child or you don't have a child in the Poughkeepsie City School District. Parents, be it current parents or future parents, students, be it current students or past students, teachers and staff, to be able to provide us with feedback that's going to help inform our 5-year strategic plan. So I encourage everyone to most certainly partake in providing us with critical feedback that's going to help inform that plan. Additionally, as Dr. Watson has indicated, I publish no less than 2 times a week a superintendent brief, which provides a lot of critical and informative information to share with our public the many things that are happening throughout our school district, and not just what you read in through our media outlets. And that can be accessed and signed up on our website as well.
Thank you, Ms. Lamel.
Abby Davis, 15 Boulevard Knowles. I have quite a few things to say, but I'm going to narrow it down to this. I'm a very involved parent, always have been. I'm trying to understand how last week, when you all canceled classes for the high school, effective communication didn't come behind that regarding parent-teacher conference. Okay, when the classes were canceled, myself, I'm going to speak for me, because the parents that voiced their concern isn't here, so I'll speak for them too. Just simple, effective communication. When you cancel the classes, would it have been too much to parenthesize? Parent-teacher conference will resume as scheduled. Myself and a lot of parents missed the conference. But to further add insult to injury, the assistant principal was able to call me at 7:43 p.m. that same night to tell me my nephew was on a video with the brawler. So then, when I asked, I said, "You're still there?" Because I was shocked. She called me at this time of the night. "Oh yes, parent-teacher conference." I said, "Parent-teacher what?" I didn't appreciate that, but you can call me at 7:43 p.m. to tell me about he was on the video. Further, I don't understand, and continuing speaking with her, I said, "Is there another?" Because normally there's 2 in the week. She says, "No, Ms. Davis, this is the only one until February 4th. I said, "But you have school pictures, 2 days of school pictures takes prevalence over parent-teacher conference?" No, I'm sorry. I'm not happy about that. I'm very concerned about my kids and the rest of the kids' safety. I'm sick of the non-effective communication. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Dr. Rosso, would you like to respond to that? And I know Ms. Torres.
I'll try to respond to it the best way that I can, but it's my understanding that when we sent out the robocall announcement articulating that there would be a 2-hour delay, we did not indicate that parent-teacher conferences would be canceled. In fact, if I remember correctly, and Ms. Torres, correct me if I'm wrong, we indicated that parent-teacher conferences would still be in place. But in the event that I stand corrected, I agree with you. Effective communication is extremely important. And based upon what you shared this evening, we most certainly will take that into account in the event that we find ourselves in the situation that we found ourselves this past Tuesday. And let me share with you, as it relates to parent-teacher conferences, yes, we identify a date and time where parents can meet with teachers on a specific day, but that does not eliminate parents' opportunity to schedule time outside of parent-teacher conference days to have conversations with their children's teachers. So I encourage you, as it relates to your children's, teachers, most certainly reach out to the building principal, have a conversation. The building principal is not available. There's always the assistant principal. Have a conversation with them to arrange something where you can then have those conversations with your child's teacher.
Trustee Martinez-Lefford.
I know that the call that I received for the delay, the delay impacted us. I don't have any children at the high school, but with the middle school and the elementary schools. But I do remember in the call it stating that the high school classes were canceled, but parent-teacher conferences were to resume as normal.
Right. So the issue then for Ms. Davis, I believe, is not that the information wasn't there, because I also received the robocall. It was if she didn't receive the robocall, and as Dr. Rosser has said, we're going to have to roll into the B plan. So we want to make sure that all the numbers, Ms. Davis, if you would make sure before you leave, if you could make sure Ms. Torres has your telephone number so that it can make sure that it is a part of the robocall list. That's critical. That's very important. Are there further citizens' comments? Can someone pull that down or help her? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Donna Levinson, and I live at 24 Garfield Place in the city of Poughkeepsie. I'm here for two reasons. One is I'm quite concerned about the tax that's being placed on utilities. For families that are financially stressed, for a $5 difference may make the difference between having heat, having light, or having food, which is huge. In addition to the financial part of it, it adds additional stress to the family and the children. And this concerns me because, of course, concerns me that as a school system, that decision was made, and we all have responsibilities to our children. So I'm quite concerned about the effect that's going to be on an unusually poor school district. Very different to other districts that are being charged with 3+% of their utilities. I don't believe they have the same demographics. The other thing that I came to do is to present in general an outline, here's kind of notes, that basically talks about doing something new for the school system. I know that's being worked on. I think that hopefully you'll be happy to see that a lot of it's the same thing that is in here as far as involving the community input, our children's input, the parents' input, the administration's input, the teachers' input. And this is just something I literally wrote up today because I felt that it was important. With the new superintendent, we have an opportunity, again, to go forward, not look backward unless we're trying not to repeat our mistakes. But there needs to be a plan. And in our district, I think it needs to be unique. It needs to be unique to crack open ideas and a new reputation for our children and our community to believe in. So I'm going to hand this out to all of you if you could pass it.
Absolutely. Please, Ms. Levinson, please.
Thank you very much.
One of the things that I would like to do, Ms. Torres, if we can we send around a sheet of paper so that individuals can put their name and their email addresses so that we can really allow individuals to receive the superintendent's briefs so that they can weigh in, we can get information. So can we get a sheet of paper going around, because we have all of these fine individuals, community members that are here at the meeting, and it's important that we maximize our efforts specific to getting the superintendent's briefs out, the information out, the listserv. Thank you so very much, Ms. Levinson. At this time, are there any other citizens' comments?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Ludwig Lottie. I live at 112 Hudson Point, City of Poughkeepsie. Sounds like you have your hands full. I do appreciate the work you do and the time that you volunteer. I come from a family of educators. My father taught locally for 35 years. I've never come to a school board meeting and spoke before. I've kind of left it in the hands of those of you that were elected and felt comfortable doing so. So it's difficult, a little difficult for me, and a little concerning that I came tonight to speak some disappointment in not, in the way that the school tax, I'm sorry, that the utility tax was passed, and the way, not because of the timing of it, or that you didn't give enough notice. I knew about it. The meeting on the 16th was in the middle of a city election campaigns, and there were other things going on those nights. But it has such a visceral response with people. Most of us can afford the 3%. It's not going to affect my record, but it doesn't instill confidence in the way the budget is managed. And the fact that you talked about it in May, at the same month that you accepted an adopted budget, concerns me, because if you needed the money, the time to ask for it was in the budget that you proposed to the public and asked them to vote on it. And, you know, the county did this. The county did a 3% tax 5 years ago on utilities, and it resulted in such a backlash. And not because of the 3%, because it feels like a double dip to people. It feels wrong. It feels like I can, so I will, type of thing. But the county was forced to repeal it, and they repealed it in 3 months, I believe it was. It might have been 4, but it was repealed. In fact, our current mayor supported it, and then when he tried to run for Senate, it resulted in him withdrawing from that particular race. All over this utility tax, and you figure it's an innocuous 3%, but it's not. The way to do it right is in the budget, so we all can see it allocated. We know where it's going. We know how you're going to spend it. In this case, I'm not sure whether, if I vote on a budget next year, if you're not going to increase it to 7%, the utility tax. I have no clear feeling on where the money's going or why you need it. It's an uncomfortable feeling that I personally have. But anyway, otherwise, thank you for your time and your efforts.
Thank you so much, sir. There being no further citizens' comments, we're going to move to our consent agenda. Before we do our consent agenda, we're going to have our young people come forward, the participation in government students who are waiting patiently and wonderfully. They were like, I thought I was getting out of here earlier. We had to at least have a little respect, so at least you saw a part of the meeting, right? So you can report it when you're in class tomorrow.
How's it going? Your classes? Yeah, she told me she's seen you the last couple of days. What are you doing there? I thought maybe you were picking up your sister. But she's a 7th grader, right?
There you go.
Great to see you. Say hi to your mom.
You're welcome. Thank you for doing all you do.
Here you go, Tara. Is that it for our participation in government students? We'd like to thank those from Garfield Place for the citizens that came out and for weighing in and giving your comments. At this time, is there a motion to approve? Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. We're going to move to our Board of Education action items. Is there a motion to approve the agenda item 13.1?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. That's the extent of the agenda.
That's it.
We're going to have comments by our superintendent, followed by trustee Dr. Reeser, Trustee Clifford, Trustee Martinez-Leffert, and Vice President Long.
I want to just reiterate, the appreciation for the community coming out this evening and making yourselves available for sharing your perception of the city school district, as well as ways in which we can work together to meet the needs of our children. As I indicated earlier, we do have opportunities for there to be dialogue between myself and members of the community at my fireside chats. As I mentioned, once again, the next fireside chat will be taking place December 2nd at New Hope Community Center from 5 to 7 p.m. I hope to see many more people out for that. I do want to take time to introduce or to sort of welcome some new family members to our family. We have Linda Daughtry. Is she here today? Yeah. Okay. She is going to
Please stand.
Yes. She is going to be a health teacher at PHS.
Woo! Bravo!
So we welcome you and we thank you for becoming part of our family. As you can already see, we do have some challenges ahead, but as my grandfather would always say, where there is challenge, there is greater opportunity. So I thank you for seeing that there's greater opportunity and the need to have champions such as yourself to be a part of the team so that we all can work together to meet the needs of our most dearest, citizens, our future citizens, which is our children. We also have a Christina Janik, who is going to be an ELA-AS teacher at Poughkeepsie High School. So we want to thank her for being a part of the family as well. I do have 2 announcements that I need to make that are not as happy. We have 2 memoriams. The first one, I'll read. Whereas Miss Betty Atkins served in the Poughkeepsie City School District as a teaching assistant for 51 years prior to her death on October 11, 2019. Be it resolved that the Poughkeepsie City School District Board of Education and administration and staff extend their sincere condolences to Miss Atkins' family and friends and join them in honoring her memory. And let me just repeat, 51 years of service to the Poughkeepsie City School District. That says a lot there. So if we could take a moment just to send kind wishes to her and her family. Okay. The next one, whereas Miss Joanna Cole served in the Poughkeepsie City School District as a cafeteria worker prior to her death on November 16, 2019. Be it resolved that the Poughkeepsie City School District Board of Education and administration and staff extend their sincere condolences to Ms. Cole's family and friends and join them in honoring her memory. If we can take a moment just to send good wishes to her and her family. Thank you. Madam Board President, that concludes my comments or my updates.
Thank you, Dr. Rosser. Dr. Reeser?
No comments.
Just a couple of things. We were talking about all of the various surveys that are available for people to take. I know that my student received one via email. I know that all of our, at least middle school and high school students, have Poughkeepsie school email addresses. How often they check those email addresses, I'm not sure of. So the thought occurred to me whether or not it would be possible to take some time in a class, whichever one is, I guess, deemed most appropriate. I know over at the middle school she took some tech classes, but if we could actually, while they're here at school, have building administrators work with the teachers to figure out a way that we could have them have access to taking the survey, whether it's via the computer or a hard copy, just kind of to get it done, so that because they find a lot of excuses not to do things like that. Homework, of course, being the top one. The second thing is I am aware of the safety protocols, and I also am aware that they're printed in the Code of Conduct, and the differentiation between, let's say, a fire drill, an evacuation drill, a hold in place, a shelter in place. And as a parent, I think it might behoove the district to perhaps remind parents what those are. And I'm thinking, the reason I bring this up is there was a hold in place, aside from the one with the confusion between it being a lockdown drill versus a hold in place. There was another hold in place here at the high school, I believe Friday.
Yeah, due to a medical emergency.
And we didn't receive, as parents, we didn't receive a phone call. And I've been talking about this as a parent for quite a long time, so I'd like to say it again, speaking on behalf of our parents in the school district, standing on the shoulders of Ms. Davis and communication, which most people who know me know that's my biggest beef, is communication between the district and families. We should have received a phone call at home letting us know it was a hold in place, and that would be an excellent opportunity to clarify for parents what a hold in place is, or what a lockdown is, or shelter in place, or et cetera. We have to do a better job, because what ends up happening is I hear it off the cuff from my daughter sitting on the couch. Oh yeah, by the way, we had a hold in place today. Oh yeah, by the way, we had a lockdown today. And then I also know that then I say to her, okay, well, what was the rumor about it? I think it's better if it comes from building leadership, calling the parents, saying, yes, there was a hold in place, this is what it was, and as brief as possible. I think that's all for my comments.
Okay. Thank you.
Suggestions.
We'll certainly have conversations and communication with the building principals to have discussions around moving forward with your items.
Trustee Martinez-Leffert.
So I'm in support of, I was actually in my list of things to comment on the survey being done during school time. I think not only do students forget, but they don't check their email, they do forget. And I think carving out, 10 minutes from social studies for, let's say, would be a great opportunity for students to complete the survey, so then we get the majority of our students and not just waiting for them to do it via email. Also, I know this was brought up earlier, but I was speaking to a teacher at one of our elementary schools and asked her if she receives the superintendent's brief. She said no. So I think it is really imperative that our teachers be given the opportunity to receive the brief, or at least learn how to join the listserv. And I stated this, I have been stating this. I was speaking to another teacher about math in particular, but just asking why we have such wide gaps, especially when students are entering into the middle school, and really looking at, and this teacher said to me that it happens little by little throughout the elementary schools, because our students, not all of them, but we do have a large population of students that are coming in with not as much background knowledge as others, and therefore the gap widens as they continue throughout their education. So trying to front load more in the early elementary and primary grades to close that gap, or to begin to close that gap. I just wanted to let everybody know that on December 6th, there's a social media night at the middle school. It's also in conjunction with Friday Night Lights. So it seems like a great event where parents can learn about the scares of social media, as well as there will be activities for children. Grace Smith's house is going to be there. I think also my brother's keeper is going to be there. And then lastly, it is the week of Thanksgiving, and I was just thinking that I want to say that I'm grateful to be a board member and to thank my community for entrusting me to hold this position. I'm grateful for the other 4 board members. You know, we're always kept on our toes, but we got each other's back. I'm grateful for our new superintendent. I'm grateful for all the staff and faculty here in the Poughkeepsie School District that are here and every day to support our children throughout their education. Thank you.
That's beautiful, Trustee Martinez-Leffer.
I had to. So I just have a couple of things. I just want to remind everyone, and if you could come out and support Friday Night Lights on December 13th. There's a sip and paint and no alcohol. It's going to be fruit punch, probably.
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate. And a holiday dinner from 4:30 to 7. Another thing, I received a lot of calls about the emergency cards being put online to fill out. There's a lot of parents who do not have the online access. So we really need to rethink about how we're going to distribute that information and get it back. I was at the high school. I was not inside the school. It was outside the other day. And I heard a teacher tell a student, I got mine, and I don't think you're going to get yours. And I probably stepped out of line. And I said, you know what you should be telling that student? You got yours, and I'm going to help you get yours. And she looked at me like I was crazy, but it's just very concerning that there are teachers, I'm piggybacking on what the student said, we really got to believe in our children. And a lot of times our teachers are the very valuable person, mentor that our students look up to. So if you hear this, just please correct them. Second, last year we won the championship. Where are the rings? The students haven't received them. Here comes my list of complaints, and I apologize.
Go ahead.
Thirdly, lots of concerns. We have all our females, I don't know what it's about the females this year, fighting. We have extracurricular activity groups, sister to sister. Where are you? You are a group for mentoring these girls. We need you. We need you to be out here. We need you to grasp onto these girls and mentor them, because with your mentorship, we should be able to do a 360 in the fighting. Do I have anything else? I know it's cold in here, so we'll talk about that at a later date. And I too, I just want to tell everybody, I wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. I have a list of things that I'm going to be grateful for, but we'll hold that for a different day. Okay, thank you.
Would you like to say something, Mr. Hodge? Okay. Is there a microphone, please?
He has he needs it for the camera.
Yes. Coach Hodge.
He's got his hat on, see?
So the rings have been in lock and key in the district since May 30th. And we'll be doing a presentation, celebration, banner, rings on December 18th. Again, it's the Byram Hills game.
Which game, sir?
Byram Hills.
Oh, Byron Hills.
Byram Hills.
That's a big game, correct or no?
Yes. Yeah,
But-
it'll actually be a big game.
What about the students that left? How are they
That's
going
the reason that we chose that game, because the coach and I both reached out to the majority, and the majority of the kids could make that game.
Oh, I have one other thing, since you're standing there. I am very concerned. So I don't know if you're aware, lots of reports, white vans, black vans, men are out here trying to,
Yeah, I just.
I'm going to say human traffic our children.
Yeah.
I have a concern. I know for a fact 2 parents came to me. I took them right to the detectives. They have they filed the complaints. However, this is my concern. The days are shorter. It is a lot darker, a lot earlier. Is there any way, I'm going to piggyback on Ms. Norwood, we could revamp the schedule? It's a walking distance district. We have students that live as far as Delafield. Walking late at night is a major concern, especially with all the unsafe things that are going on right now.
Yeah, I actually was talking with Officer Zerbal about that, as well as looking at talking to the county to see if we can get some runs that come here like around 6:30.
Okay.
So we're actually already been kind of working on that. But as far as what you're talking about the white vans, that is unfortunately a real issue.
It is.
We've been talking to, matter of fact, I just talked to the girls' basketball team tonight about it, just to be on the lookout.
Right, in surrounding districts too, that's not something just specific to the city of Poughkeepsie. It's been occurring in surrounding districts. So-
Or even if we can get them to team up so they're walking in groups and not alone.
Exactly. We have to put all precautionary measures in place.
I'm a little, actually, I'm taken aback by the fact that we don't have bus runs coming at that point at night. I just, I guess, assumed that
They do run, but we were trying to get it set up so people around our end.
right, because I thought that was one of the things that we actually kind of pitched, was that they'd be available for our after-school sports and,
Can you use a microphone, sir, please?
Like, for example, myself and the bowling coach, we went down to the county, and they actually, our bowlers take the bus.
yes.
And that's the one thing that we've talked to them about, trying to maybe around 6:30, if you can have a bus come through. The other issue is obviously now in the winter season, when we come back from a late game, we just gotta hope that parents are gonna work with us, and obviously our coaches don't leave until the last student is gone. So we are working on those, but I don't really know their schedule on, how many runs they do, but I have to tell you, I do see a lot of buses coming through here, and most of the time, there's no one on.
Well, that's another thing, I was actually, I'm sorry I didn't bring this up before, but this is a perfect segue. I was talking to a student who is on the bowling team, who rarely has a ride home, and I said, well, why don't you take the bus? And after my mom doesn't really want me to take the bus, and I'd rather walk. What it really came down to was, he's never ridden the bus before. And I think that we keep talking about our students taking the bus, but there may be a lot of our students who have actually never, maybe they've ridden it with their parent or grandparent or an older sibling, but they never actually have navigated the bus system on their own. And is there something that we can do or look at doing in the future where we as a district, in conjunction with the county, set up mini classes or workshops to show kids how to use the bus system? Not only how to read the schedule, but actually, let's take a field trip. Let's all get on the bus, because I know for myself, the first time I ever do something I've not done before, whether it was ride the subway, ride the bus, ride the plane, take a taxi, I was scared. So, okay, let's all, this is what you do. This is, when the bus gets here, you check this. You do this, you walk in, you show them your ID because you can ride for free. This is where you sit. This is what you do when you need to get off. Because it just all of a sudden struck me that this was a student who I assumed knew how to ride the bus. And there very well could be a lot of them who don't, which might be another reason why ridership is low.
Yeah, we can handle that. That's a low-hanging fruit.
In a way that's also lets them maintain their pride, because what high school student wants to say, I don't know how to ride the bus?
Well, but I think your point is well-intentioned, but I do think that even if we just empower them to teach them that asking the question or the statement to the bus driver, hey, can you let me know when we get near this street, when my stop is? Because that's really all they need to learn how to do.
But they don't know that.
No, I know, but we need to empower them somehow
Absolutely.
to teach them how to do that. And also the familiarity of, this is going to be your bus driver at this time, unless the bus driver.
So one of the things, as I mentioned, this is low-hanging fruit. You know, during our orientations at our middle school, during our orientations at our high schools, we can most certainly have someone from the county come out and share with every student who's seated in this auditorium as well as the auditorium at the middle school, you know, provide them with a quick crash course on taking the bus, you know, this county bus 101. We can also provide opportunities similar to what I've done in other districts where prior to the start of school, we have had parents, students sort of come in and get a feel for, you know, what the yellow bus looks like, what the city bus looks like, so that they can have some familiarity with the construct of it, but be able to ask questions of staff members on what do they do when this happens, you know, how will they know what stop to get off, et cetera, et cetera. So that's low-hanging fruit that we can most certainly address moving forward.
Thank you, sir. Just a couple things. One is we want to acknowledge our board clerk. She lost her father last week, and she's been a trooper. Still, there's, you know, just being focused on getting things done. And so we just want to showcase to our board clerk, Torres, from our heart to yours, to let you know that we love you and we have your back. And I neglected to bring your card today. So just know that it will be forthcoming. But we have your back. We love you and we stand with you. And if there's anything that we can do to ease your pain during this time or assist your family, please don't hesitate to let us know individually or collectively as a board. There's other things. I'm not going to get into them now. I just want to really push. We have to really push our superintendent's brief. Here's the reason why it's critical, and you guys have resoundingly heard me talk about it. Because the superintendent briefs gives us the opportunity to tell our story, to flip the script, and for others to see exactly what's going on in the school district. There's an adage, a Jewish proverb that says that wisdom is a principal thing, therefore get wisdom, but in all you're getting, get understanding. And what happens sometimes is folks just spew from the mouth and from the hip without concrete information and evidence or data. And what the superintendent's brief has done for me as a board member and as an individual and a citizen of this city is it greatly informs me. And so one of the things we have to do is to build, we only have 290 individuals subscribe to that superintendent's brief. That's a grain of sand on the beach. Minimally, we need to ensure that all teachers are receiving it. They can opt out. We don't have to ask for permission. Send it to their email addresses and they can opt out if they don't want it. We have to push it. All of our students, I had asked Trustee Martinez-Leffert, she said that I think her daughter that they have, and I believe Trustee Clifford, you had mentioned this a while ago, that your daughter has an email address. We just send it. We have to get this thing out there. We have to get these briefs out there. There's been 21 that have been produced in just a relatively short period of time. They're chock full of fabulosity, chock full of incredible information, and we have to get it out there. There's no reason why we shouldn't have the distribution list to 5,000 individuals within this city, and initially within our own community. The fact that Trustee Martinez-Leffert had called and she said that she has spoken with the teacher and the teacher wasn't even privy to the superintendent briefs, that just should not be. The superintendent has done a stellar job with his team in creating those briefs, and I'm telling you, they're very informative. And I think that you will enjoy reading them, and you will enjoy seeing the great things that are happening within this school district. So we're not waiting for the Mid-Hudson News or the Poughkeepsie Journal to tell our story, because our story is bigger than the negative, sensational information that many times media would like to put out there.
Dr. Watson, can I just interrupt you really
Sure.
quick, because this is in regards. So I'm looking at Infinite Campus on the app on my phone, and there's a section for announcements. There's an inbox link to it. I don't know if that's a place where it can be put also, so parents have access to it right on their phone.
Yeah, and I don't know all of those nuances. I know that we have, our board clerk is techno-savvy, as well as we have staff that are techno-savvy. We have Mr. Danishvar that's here. We have Mr. Kirsch that's here, that's going to fall in their lap in sync with whatever the direction that the superintendent of schools, Dr. Rosser, gives them. My bottom line as a board member is that we have to get that information out there, because if not, then it's a moot point to have such, to have the such great information and it not being put in the hands of the community, of our teachers, of our students. It's just, doesn't make good business sense, doesn't make good organizational sense. So we want to definitely get our listserv and our distribution lists increased. Board Clerk Torres, if at every meeting you can have a sign-in sheet and have name and email address, and so folks cannot for a citizen's comment, but just to fill it out, because by any means necessary, Malcolm X said, by any means necessary, we have to get email addresses. I know that it's being done at the fireside chats, and we just want to continue this because we have to tell our story, because our story, the way we tell it, is factual. It's based upon, it's the good and the bad and the ugly, not just the bad and the ugly. And we tell it our way. No one can tell our story better than we can. So we want to share and tell our own story. I want to say that in sync with Trustee Martinez-Leffert, that I'm thankful for this board. It's one of these individuals are 4 individuals that give of themselves tirelessly for the edification of this district, the students, and in support of the superintendent of schools. I want to thank each and every one of the community members that are here. Welcome aboard to our new health teacher. Thank you for Ms. Heather Martino, the president of PIPSA, the Poughkeepsie Public School Teachers Association, for consistently coming out and being a part of the meetings. And it's not a mandate that she comes, and she comes because she's concerted and invested in being a part of the solution. Thank you to, as I had said earlier, to Ms. Norwood, Ms. Davis for coming out and for hanging out and sticking it out. Thank you to our assistant superintendents for being a part of it. All assistant superintendents, please stand. Assistant superintendents. So these are individuals that are assisting our superintendent and leading this district forward. And we thank you so very much for coming. Now, you are mandated by policy to come, but that's a whole nother thing. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Mr. Danishvar. Please stand up. Mr. Kirsch, please stand up. And I've said her name many times, but we want to acknowledge her. Thank you guys for coming through with technology. Thank you for setting up and having everything prepared for us at this table. Thank you so very much. It looks aesthetically appealing. And the technology and everything spot on. We're going to ask Ms. Torres to please stand up. She's a board clerk, and she's also the interim administrative assistant, executive assistant to our superintendent. I don't know how she does it all. I really don't, and she looks good doing it. So thank you so very much for that. And again, our hearts are with you during this time. At this time, is there a motion to adjourn out of this meeting?
So moved.
Adjourn out of the meeting, period. They thought I was going to say into executive session. That means another meeting. They would get me. Is there a motion?
I'm so moving.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Happy Thanksgiving. Get home safely.
Hey! Hey!
Dr. Tendai. Dr. Tendai.
Ladies down there.
Hey! 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 You know it. You knew I was gonna react.
And then IDA.
Hey! Hey! Hey!
She wanted to be the big guy.